Quiet singing, is that your new thing?
I always sing, you know.
Singing to yourself?
I always sing.
You always sing? Sing us a little song.
No.
Lead us in with a song.
No way.
Always got a skip in her step and a song in her heart.
That's our Carrie.
And a dagger for your face.
And a dagger in her head.
For your face.
Always talking about stabbing people in the face. Do you have any other desires in life?
Not much.
No, just stabbing people in the face?
Go for the face.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Playful Secrets Podcast. My name is Isaiah Huffman. I'll be here hosting the evening along with our beautiful friend, Carrie Eller.
Hello.
And our even more beautiful friend, Brett Skinner.
Well, thank you for recognizing.
Of course, true beauty stands
Lies.
out. You don't think Brett's beautiful?
No. You know how I feel about Brett.
No discussion there, just absolutely no.
No, there's beauty. You can find beauty in anything, I suppose.
Well, this week on Playful Secrets, we're starting out as we do every week in the world of sports. The USA was ousted by Belgium this week in the World Cup. Any thoughts, Brett?
Were they thrown out by force, or was this a willing thing?
They were forced out. They
out,
weren't asked and accepted.
I don't support that. I do not support
No,
that.
they lost. That's not what Brett means. He means, like, were we kicked out or did we lose?
Oh, we lost a game. And therefore,
Yeah.
we're kicked out of the
So it was
tournament.
a game. What kind of game was this?
This is a football game. Soccer.
Football.
Soccer.
European
Okay.
football.
Gotcha.
A lot of hot guys on that pitch, though.
That is true.
There is a lot
is
of
true.
hot guys. That is true. Hello.
I actually got
nurse.
got them to watch about a minute and a half of European football during the Portugal game, and because they got to
that's
see
right.
Cristiano Ronaldo, and they're
Yes.
quite impressed, I believe.
Very impressed.
I must say, watching men kick around balls does turn me on.
Is that right?
Yes.
Is that all it takes?
That's all it takes.
Well, let me introduce you to some other sports with plenty of balls.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I think rugby might be up your alley.
Okay.
It's a bunch of men getting in a huddle and pushing on each other.
I've seen that one. That's pretty rough.
Call it a scrum, yeah.
Violent.
Yeah, it is pretty rough. Absolutely. Not for the faint of heart, I suppose. But that is the world of sports this week. The U.S. ousted by Belgium. Does anyone know anything about Belgium?
Excellent chocolate.
Waffles?
Belgium waffles and chocolate.
Home of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, yes.
Did you ever see that JCVD movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Was that the name of the movie?
It was. It was called JCVD.
No.
It was Jean-Claude Van Damme playing himself back in Brussels.
Okay.
And he's just driving along as like this broke down movie star, and he goes to a bank for a regular visit. The bank gets robbed, and they see that it's Jean-Claude Van Damme, and everybody freaks out. It's hilarious.
I
And
can't
everyone's
believe I
like,
haven't seen this movie.
everyone that's being held hostage in the bank is asking him, "What are you gonna do? How are you gonna help us?" He's like, "I'm an actor. I don't actually hurt people." It is classic. If you've not seen it, check out JCVD.
That sounds pretty awesome.
That's heading towards the celebrity area. Here we have some celebrity news from Carrie Eller's Celebrity Cellar this week.
Oh, yes. Kind of slow. Of course, near and dear to my heart, Miss Lindsay Lohan actually turned 28. So
Oh.
congratulations. I don't think anyone really thought she could do it.
So she's finally
But
legal.
she did. She's been, well, poor thing. She looks like she's 48, but she looks rough, man. She looks rough. But she made it. She's still alive.
Are you of the belief that this is a woman that sells her friendship, let's say, to rather high-paying customers just to hang out, supposedly, for the
well,
night?
It's alleged, you know. It's alleged.
Alleged?
Yeah, it's alleged. Who can prove anything? She has, rich boyfriends, if you will, you know. But don't
Caretakers.
they all?
Caretakers. She also, I heard, is proceeding with suing Rockstar Games, which are the
Yeah.
makers of the Grand Theft Auto series for Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know if you've played this or not, but there's actually a mission where you are playing as kind of a paparazzi, and you chase a young drunken woman in miniskirt in a fast car trying to get pictures of her, and she wrecks, and she shows herself, and you take pictures, and then she gets arrested. And Lindsay Lohan is claiming that it's her. I'd say she has a pretty strong case.
I totally disagree with that. Like they said, that could be Lindsay, that could be Tara Reid. I mean, of course, that's a little old, but she's still out there doing that crap. You know what I mean? And, there's all kinds of, it could be, Paris Hilton, who also is still out there doing that crap. She could be
I haven't heard that name
anybody.
in a long time. Paris
Well,
Hilton.
Yeah, no, she's not popular like she was, but she's still out partying and doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it could be anybody.
Well, this was
It's
obviously
certainly
a
not
satire
Lindsay.
of Lindsay Lohan. If you'd seen the mission and the game, it is very clear who it is. Much like all the satire in the GTA franchise, it's very obvious what they are skewering, if you will.
Well, so what? You know, Saturday Night Live does satire every day.
Absolutely.
Do people sue?
So does South Park, and yeah, they have been sued, but they usually don't win due to satire. And I don't think they'll win. She'll win this anyway, but you know, she needs
I
money.
hope not. Yeah, that's very, very true.
So Lohan's 28. Hoorah! She made it, I guess.
Did.
Anything else going on?
Kendra Wilkerson from The Girls Next Door.
Girls next door to whom?
Hugh Hefner from a popular show.
I thought they were married to. Do they live next door? So he has 3 wives, and they all
No,
live
they're
in
not
separate houses
married. No,
next door.
he did marry someone. He is married now to the one that he was going to marry, and then she left him, and then talked all kinds of smack about him. And then, like, I don't know, maybe a year or a few years later, they're back together. But anyway, so Kendra Wilkerson, who was a girlfriend of Hugh Hefner, and has had various reality shows since then, and she started on a reality show, being his girlfriend, The Girls Next Door. Her boyfriend, who plays some sort of American sport, I'm not sure.
I believe he was a wide receiver for the
Oh wait,
Philadelphia
football.
Eagles.
That's right, because they played for the Colts for a little bit.
Is this American football or?
Yeah, this is American
Yes.
football. Yeah, American football. So anyway, he's been having the relations with a tranny or transsexual lady, gal,
Transgender.
Transgender?
Yeah, she has come out and has sold her story.
She came out as
and-
transgender.
Well, she's
Do
been
people
out.
come out as transgender?
No, she's been out, but she's come out about their little
People do,
rendezvous, and so Kendra and them are split.
So is he with the transgender woman now?
I do not believe so. No.
So he just wanted a taste.
Yes.
Now, was this a prostitute situation?
He left her. She said he did leave her $500, but
Well, that's just a nice tip.
yeah, it was more of like a tip. It was no like
That's what she said.
for money. Yeah, though he did offer her. This part I thought was kind of sad because he was like he told her he would give her $5,000 if she did not tell anyone. Like, but he couldn't give it to her in one lump sum. He did have to because Kendra has it's let's be clear, it's Kendra's money, so he had to be like I'll give it to you over time. Guess who she went for, as anyone would. She went for the tabloid that had cash in hand. So good for her.
Wow.
Poor Kendra, but
So Lindsay Lohan and Kendra, I don't even know her last name.
Wilkinson or something?
Wilkinson.
Wilkinson?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, so are there any actual celebrities that doing anything this week?
No.
Okay, slow week.
I heard that the rumors have been flying about Beyonce and Jay-Z,
What kind of rumors are those?
that he has cheated on her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
With the sister?
They don't. I've never heard a specific person that was with,
There's multiple, I'm sure.
but they're probably there's part of it is that whole fight that went down. Like people are speculating that the fact that she flipped out like that, like
Knows about
she heard
infidelity.
about it, right?
Well, we've all heard about it. I mean, it's Jay-Z.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely got the opportunity, but I don't know if it'll come out or not. We'll find out.
Yeah. And so it is. Another episode of Celebrity Seller closed. Thank you. This week I've been playing a new game. It's called Sniper Elite 3. It is absolutely the most fun I've had with my gaming system since buying it. I don't know if you're familiar with this series.
He has been having a lot of fun.
I was not familiar with the series until the PlayStation Now beta started up a few months ago, and the second Sniper Elite was available for play there. Tried it out. The controls are murky. Doesn't look that great, but they have an absolute amazing sniping gameplay. Everything else is wonky. Can't play with it. Like if you're not sniping, just don't even play.
Is it like ultra realistic? Like
It can be. I'm playing at the marksman level,
okay,
which has I don't believe it does not take into account wind. It has some bullet ballistics, and then there's Sniper Elite level that has full bullet ballistics, and then there's a harder one than that where you can't save at all. But what this does is when you make a good shot,
And this is why he enjoys the game.
Yeah.
They're right here.
when you make a good shot, all right, it immediately goes into a slow mo, and you see the bullet come out of the the gun, and you just watch the bullet go slowly, and it hits the target, and their head like explodes, and all the
Let's be clear,
different
the target goes into like almost like you see his bones and his organs
Oh,
type
wow.
view, and you see the bullet enter, crack the bone, rip apart whatever's behind it, whether it be the heart, the eyeball. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty funny, and he just giggles with joy.
It is absolutely wonderful.
You'd probably like it, Brett. Just for the few,
that's-
it would tire you quick. But it thoroughly keeps him going.
Yeah, so as I was saying, it's the most fun I've had with the PS4 now, and it is because of this slow bullet time brutality of the killing of it. It's just amazing. I giggle, and it's bright. It looks decent. It's not the best looking game in the world, but only costs $50, and you get a chance to shoot Hitler in the head, and that's always nice. That's always nice. Ever since Wolfenstein 3D, it's always been nice to kill a Hitler.
When does that new Wolfenstein come out?
The new order is out.
It's out already.
It
now.
has been out for about a month now. It's gotten
Okay.
surprisingly good reviews. A lot of people were very surprised at how good it was. The word on it is the first hour and a half is absolutely terrible. Once you get through that, it's going to be fun.
Okay.
But the first hour and a half is
What
awful.
is this one? What's Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein's one of the original first-person shooters that came out on
Oh.
PC a long time ago, early
I'm out.
90s. And Wolfenstein 3D was an early pioneer of the. It was basically corridor shooters because it would just be corridors you're walking down. I don't know if you ever saw the old Dungeons and Dragons games where you just venture down corridors. Okay, I guess not. So basically, there was no up and down. You just could look right and left. That's it. So your entire, you'd be shooting and just strafing the entire time, and you'd just kill Nazis. You'd find secret hidden walls that would open up, secret passages or treasures. It was one of the most amazing and violent games of the time, obviously, and that was a predecessor to Doom, which actually took that first-person shooter genre online and into like where people would battle each other rather than just play against the computer.
Oh.
And that's where the whole FPS or first-person shooter genre really came from. So this new Wolfenstein came out this year, and I've been wanting to play it. I don't know. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been playing that Watch Dogs for a long time, catching up on that. But have you been gaming anything new?
No, I really haven't. I have. Last thing I played was Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm still not even probably halfway through it.
Yeah, it's a pretty long game. Are you enjoying it? I know you're more of a Saints Row fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it, but I kind of get taken out of it because they have that 3-character system going where you kind of have to switch between them at times. Like, you can't just stay with one person the whole time, which is more what I'm used to in the Grand Theft Auto games. So it kind of takes me out of it because you start to get into a person's story, and then it's just like, pause, go over here now.
Right.
And you're this person now. Which, the only one I really find that interesting, even out of the 3, is the meth head.
Trevor. Everyone loves Trevor.
I think his.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
If you played him the whole time, I think that game would be fantastic. Because it's just so funny, just the craziness and the random weird characters that live around him and stuff.
Yeah, I've debated this with myself several times regarding the 3 characters in GTA 5 because I'm a big GTA fan. Played every single game. Of course, fell in love like everyone else really at GTA 3 when it became open world, 3D world you can actually walk around in rather than the 2D plane view. The 3 characters I didn't mind so much. The only thing I minded is that I felt like Michael was okay, interesting enough for the character that he was. He's kind of an iconic character at this point in American kind of cinema or storytelling about underground, if you will. So it's okay. I didn't think it was incredible for him. Gosh, I can't remember the other guy's name. Trevor was absolutely a blast to play with, and everything he does, and the shit he spouts while you're just walking around, hilarious. He is a classic character. The other guy's just boring. I don't even remember his name. He had the dog. That's the only thing he had. He has Chomp, which doesn't do much shit for you.
Right.
And he gets lost a lot. I'd send him to go look for an item, and he's gone. What is his name? Do you recall?
I really don't. I can look it up real fast.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
like
all right.
to.
The 3 characters was... I didn't find it as off-putting for the story. I just didn't care about that 3rd character so much because Michael and Trevor had that past, they're coming from. And this new kid, I really don't understand why he's really even around. Obviously, because there's 3 different levels of the city. There's the inner city type space where he comes from. There's the upper hills type space where Michael lives. And there's the out in the boondocks, Wild West type area, which is where Trevor comes from, or meth head area, if you will. Well, literally, because the first thing he does is chases down meth heads and kills them all.
Yeah, I love those parts of the game when you're playing as him, just because, like you're saying, he spouts off just random stuff as you're walking down the road.
Constantly.
Just hilarious.
Just constantly.
And then you'll have all these other characters around, like even when you're in the main missions and it's like cutscenes that are just as whacked out as he is, saying the other random stuff, and it's just all of them working together is just hilarious.
I didn't mind the three characters so much in the mission. During actual missions, we had to switch between one being on point in like a sniper position, one being on the ground, and the other possibly driving a truck or a helicopter or something of that nature. I thought that was kind of interesting to have the three-sided heist. I wish there were more heists in the game. If I recall, spoilers if you haven't played in a 8-month-old game. Franklin, of course. How could I forget Frank? There's not that many heists in this game. It was surprising because that's what I thought the whole game was going to be. And also the online mode of this game had been promising online heist for people to set up, which I believe is still not gone live. They keep having problems with that. But I don't know that GTA Online is really going to take off on consoles the way it has a vibrant community online. On PC, on GTA 4, of course, they make all the mods, modifications, and do some incredible things in these worlds on PCs. And now Sony hasn't announced, though it'd be odd if they did, nor has Xbox announced. They do have the capacity to allow modifications on these new systems, but they have not decided yet if they'll allow people to code. The problem is that I see is there's no place to upload it, so you'd have to put it on one of their stores, and therefore they'd have to go through the certification process. So there'd be a fee involved. Most people who make modifications are younger people just doing it for fun. That wouldn't want, there'd have to be a marketplace or a server made just to house these things, and that would be at a cost to Sony. For what purpose? They're not monetizing it, so I don't know if it'll ever happen. It'd be kind of cool if it did, though. You think modification of video games on consoles would ever work?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because sometimes look at Little Big Planet. There's a billion different modded levels, and some of them are amazing. But I think it's a lot of the time it's just there's a mountain of garbage to get a couple good things out of it. So I agree with you. I don't see why Sony would bother to put any money into it because it's really not adding much. But the other thing too is I feel like Grand Theft Auto is so expansive and huge, and you can do anything anytime you want. I mean, it's just totally open world.
Right.
So
and there's really no repercussion that's to speak of if you go out and just do whatever the hell you want.
Right. So why would they need to add more to that world even? I mean, you'd have to make it into something completely different than what it already is, which it's like you might as well make a different game at that point.
Yeah, have you played the online of this new one yet?
I have not. No.
It's exactly like the regular. There's actually a whole story for your character that you build.
Yeah.
The only difference between this and regular GTA is it forces you to play with other players. You have to get teams of 4 together to do a heist or do this or that. And the other thing is you're on a server with 8 to 16 people, I believe. And at any point, these people are out there. They know where you are. You know where they are. And they can just come kill you and take your money. Which brings an element of fun. But at the same time, if you're trying to progress and do something, I find nothing more annoying than online intrusions. Like Watch Dogs was very intrusive. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but as you're playing through the normal campaign mode on Watch Dogs, going through this open world, all of a sudden, without your permission, there'll be someone in your game. You'll have to stop whatever you're doing and try to find this person who's trying to hack you. And I played it a few times. It was kind of interesting until it kept happening every time I was heading for a mission start. I was getting ready to go start a new mission, and then this thing would happen, and it takes 15 to 20 minutes for this whole encounter to play out. For good or bad, it doesn't matter. But the thing that drove me most nuts about this is that, yes, you can go in and turn it off. However, there are progressive rewards for playing these. And when you turn it off, you lose all progress you had before. So like I said, I played 5 of these matches, had some improvements to some weapons I'd had, and improvements to my vehicles. But as soon as I turned it off, all that went away. And now if I turn it back on to try to go for the trophies, I have to start all over again. And that's annoying as hell. I mean, if you're going to have the online component, that's fine. Don't punish me for not wanting to have it on all the time, though.
Right. Yeah, I think that my whole thing with online is a lot of the times you'll run into people who are masters at the game. So as somebody who's not, played the game for 100 hours,
Yeah.
to jump into the online thing months after it's been going, and there's all these people that have been doing it for a long time, really refined how they play it. It's really, it's not fun because
Absolutely.
you
It's
step
daunting.
into that world and it's just dead, like instantly. You don't even get a chance to really acclimate to it.
Yeah, and that's what they try to have those matchmaking servers where it's like, hey, you're a novice, so we'll try to get you with some novice players. But let's be honest, this is 4 months on from the launch date. Anyone who's novice is probably in there, and the chances that you're jumping at the same time as a bunch of other novice people just jumping on for the first time, very small. And they could be matching you with the lowest level people that are still playing, but obviously those people are dedicated to the game, therefore much better. It is you're sort of at a huge disadvantage, but it's not deathmatch in GTA. At least they do try to force you to work together, but it is at the same time very backstab because you can go through this entire heist, work together, and they can just turn around and shoot you at the end of it and take all the money themselves. So it's interesting. It never really grabbed me. I'm not big on playing with a lot of people. As a matter of fact, the only massive online game I've played was Sony Online Entertainment's DCUO. That's DC Universe Online, which I found a ton of fun, but I played maybe 3 times with the players that were online. I just go around by myself, which made it much tougher at a lot of points, but I just really don't like playing with other people online. I don't know where that came from per se, but
I think it's just our generation. You know what I mean? We grew up playing by ourselves and yada, 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 where these younger people grew up playing with all their friends. So
I think it's the fact that I don't. Yeah, it could be generation simply
'Cause I
because
don't like it either.
I don't have friends that play online. I don't have any friends that play online. So I've
okay.
reached out several times to several games over the years just to try to get into an online community, make some friends, and I have. I've gotten through a few games with other people, but like Portal 2, classic example. There's a whole co-op campaign that's separate from the main campaign, and you have to play with someone. So I found someone actually on Steam because it was actually we crosstalk with Steam and PS3, and we played through the entire thing together, and that was nice. But it's too often, like for me, it's too hard to have like a set schedule. This is when you're gaming. This is when our group gets together. That's too much for me. I like to just sit down and play, have a drink, enjoy it, take a break, have a smoke if I feel like it. My game, my leisure time up to me, not committed to a team. If I wanted to play on a team, I'd go down and play softball with all the other old people.
I agree with that. I think when you play with other people, you are having to coordinate it a lot more. It's not so casual. You can't just jump on when you feel like it and do what you want. Because then, like if you're playing with somebody and you're at a point where you both stop and then you want to jump back into it the next day and they're busy, it's like, do you just go on and say screw that person, or do you wait for them to become available? It's a little more restricted, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And like I said, it seems like something that the generation right after me really got into with the EverQuest starting at that point. And they really got into, hey, we don't have cars. We don't have a life. We're 12 to 14 years old. Let's meet online. I mean, online, when I was that age, we're talking barely having instant messaging on AOL. At that point, so the online gaming community wasn't really going at that time. So I think it could be generational, but it disappoints me. There's a lot of games that I would enjoy playing, but I just have a hard time playing with other people.
the only thing I'm really looking forward to right now is that Alien Nation. Is it called that?
Alien Isolation.
Alien Isolation.
I haven't heard of this. What is this?
Oh, it looks really good. Like, I don't know who you exactly play as, but
I believe you're Ripley's daughter.
okay, like Ripley's daughter. I mean, it's like Alien, and you're in a ship with an alien. It's just one, and I don't know. It just looks really spooky, and it's supposed to be really intense, and it looks really good. So, do you remember when that's supposed to come out, Isaiah?
Yes, it looks like it's going to be out in October, I believe.
Okay, ooh, good.
Yeah.
Good time for it to come out. It looks really good. It looks really spooky.
I will say this though: every Alien game throughout history pretty much has been horrible.
Horrible, including the last one,
Horrible.
which was such a disappointment that the developer got sued.
Oh wow.
What?
Aliens Colonial Marines was eventually put out by 2K Studios, who also makes Borderlands, or Gearbox Studios is the name of the studios that makes Borderlands 2. They backed but did not make. In other words, they kind of produced or they published this title, Alien Colonial Marines, and they've been showing these ads and trailers for this game for months and months and months of this amazing looking aliens, and you know, Colonial Marines fighting, all this, and the game finally comes out and it looks like it's a generation old. It basically, like, they completely lied about what the game was actually bringing to market. So yeah, they were sued. I don't know the end of that case. I don't think it's still a frivolous lawsuit because they won't win, because trailers, there's for games, there's a kind of interesting gray area. It's called a vertical slice. What they'll do is they'll take what they think their gameplay will hit, and they make this small, let's call it like 5 seconds out of a minute, or even 5 minutes out of a 40-hour game, and make this one, and build this one little piece, and build it as best they can, and say, this is what we're trying to hit. And that's okay. And they show that, and that's okay. And that's where we're getting a lot of gray areas, where what is delivered is far and away different from what was shown. Just like Watch Dogs 3 years ago was shown, and everyone was like, well, that's obviously not on this generation of consoles. That's obviously got to be on the next generation consoles. It just looks too good. And even on the next gen consoles, it still looks far worse than those initial videos that came out on the announcement. So
that happens a lot, though. I've noticed that over the years. You'll see a preview for something, it looks phenomenal, and then you'll get into it, and it's just garbage. Like it's like a movie, you know. It's based like a movie. You know, they'll pick the best little snippets that they have,
right.
And then you get there and watch it, and sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
What was the last game you were really disappointed in?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Nothing's really coming to mind.
Nothing
to be
coming to
honest.
mind.
Yeah.
I'd say right now, for me, do you have one?
Yeah, I do.
What-
Outlast.
Outlast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looked so much like so much fun, and it started out to be so much fun, but it was just if they would have shaved an hour off of it, it would have been fun. It just went on too long and too repetitive of the same thing, and just by the time you were just so ready for it to be done, it took away all the initial fun.
Just too much mutilated man cock.
Oh, there was a lot of
What
that.
is this? What?
Yeah. There was a lot of freaky shit. There was
There
a lot
were
of
some
freaky
twins
shit.
that had some mutilated cocks. Just
They had giant.
all
No,
hanging
they
out.
had giant cocks.
It's called Outlast.
There was all
Outlast.
Yeah. And there was all
How
kinds
long
of
can
weird
you take
stuff.
the giant
but,
cock?
it could have been really fun, but again, it was 1 hour way
Well, it's
too
one of those
long.
games where it's meant to make you feel completely underpowered, and therefore giving you tension. So basically, all you have is a camera with night vision.
Yeah.
All the power's out, and you're in an asylum. Imagine that, an asylum.
It's like Silent Hill.
You know, I never
No.
played the Silent Hills. I know it's sacrilegious to say
Wow.
so, but I never got to one of those. I was so in love with Resident Evil. I played through that several times, and then Resident Evil 2 came out. I started playing that, and then other things took my attention away from gaming. And Silent Hill just never made it on my system. I hear it's classic. I know they've been trying to kind of recapture that for several years in well, films and games.
It was really unique for the time. I would say if you went and played it now, you probably would not even enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was amazing, just the creepiness level of it, because it was exactly like Resident Evil, as far as like how it moves, plays, looks, all
Tank
that kind
controls.
of stuff. Right, but the difference is you really don't have weapons. You occasionally will get something that you can attack something with, but it's rare. Most of the time, you're just trying to run or to avoid things altogether. The other thing that's really weird about it is, like, as you're walking through this town, which is totally deserted, there's fog everywhere, so you can barely see anything, and you'll just be walking by a car or something that's parked on the side of the road, and you'll see something kind of skitter beneath it, but you have no idea what you just saw. You don't really get to see it, and it doesn't come attack you or anything. It's just like all this weird stuff happens as you're walking
They
around.
have the strings, the hit, the tink.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing that really, I think, caught people about that was not just that it was scary. Like there was a bunch of startle kind of things that happened.
Sure.
But it just really had really weird, creepy stuff going on that even when you fully saw it, like, because most of the horror stuff is about building suspense and you know something's about to happen.
Right.
And then the actual reveal, after the reveal's done, it's kind of over, you know. You're not so freaked out by it and all that kind of stuff because it's happened,
Right.
you know. But with this, it's just like things would all of a sudden appear, like pop into a room that you're in, and it was just so disturbing what they were that you couldn't wrap your mind around it. Like the classic
I mean,
character,
like the monster design was bizarre.
Right.
Okay.
Like the classic character is this. I forget what they even called it, but it's just this. Looked like it had a human body with a big metal kind of mask head, weird thing.
Pyramid head.
Pyramid head, exactly.
Yes, I'm familiar with this character.
And he carried this giant cleaver, which was so heavy he just dragged it most of the time. Like he couldn't even lift it.
Was it a reaver or a cleaver?
It was
A
a
cleaver
cleaver.
is like a chopping.
Like more of a rectangular shape.
Huh.
But it was, 3 or 4 feet long, the blade.
Yeah.
And then the handle was like a couple feet long. And he would just drag this thing behind him and he'd be limping towards you really slowly. And you just like, what do I do? You freak out, gotta run,
Do you ever get to attack Pyramid Head or kill Pyramid Head? Is he the main
Pyramid
boss?
Head-
I always assumed he was the main boss.
You don't really
Silent
know
Hill.
even. They don't even give you that level of detail throughout the whole. I played up
So
to
is it
about
simply
the
just
fourth one.
getting out of this city that the point of the game is?
Well,
Or-
you're in the city. You don't really know why even. You
Okay.
vaguely have a recollection of getting in a car accident.
right.
And then your car is wrecked, so you walk into the town. And as you walk into it, there's nobody there. It's deserted. And you're trying to find out what's going on there. You're trying to just get out of there. And as you're walking through it, you start to have memories of being there before. So then there's, it's kind of like, are you dead already? And this is like hell or heaven or purgatory or what is this?
And didn't have any wrap up though, like at the end to
It
like.
really doesn't. The first game had, I think, 5 endings.
Wow.
Which were vastly different depending on what you did in the game. Which one of them was a UFO picks you up.
Fantastic.
So that was like the cheesy one, but most of them just don't even get into it. Like they just really didn't explain crap. I played up till like the fourth game, and they were kind of alluding to the fact that you were born there, and that there was like a satanic cult kind of thing going on.
That's how the movie played out.
Yeah, it was a lot like that movie. But
I never saw the movie either.
But Pyramid Head was really disturbing, just the way it moved. Didn't always attack you even. It was really weird. You never knew what it was going to do. And there's a scene where it's like raping this headless kind of thing.
What is
It's
with
really
the rape
weird.
scenes?
I think it's just trying to show like violation and make you feel dirty and creeped out. Really, I
Yeah.
really did.
Do you think what that's their metaphorical purpose is to show rape for violation?
I really do. I really do because I think that's the whole point. Is trying to
I think
psychologically
that misses the
violate
target
you.
of metaphor, though. I
Definitely.
think that's rather literal there.
It is, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Did the games have those creepy nurses that were in the movie?
There were nurses, which
Those
some
nurses
of them,
were really creepy in the movie.
yeah, the nurses were different at times. Sometimes they didn't even have a head.
nurses.
Sometimes they didn't
Oh,
have
they
a
were
face.
super creepy.
There were some that were just like 2 sets of legs kind of fused on top of each other that were just
Awesome.
walking around.
Perfect woman.
Just weird yeah. Weird stuff. Exactly. But yeah, the first 2 I thought were good at the time. Like I
Right.
thought that they were really, really cool.
Did you enjoy them more than Resident Evil?
No, I'd say no on that.
The
At
first
least-
Resident Evil.
I think once Resident Evil 2 hit, that's when it really got good. I don't think
Really, Resident Evil?
Resident Evil 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Resident Evil 1 was good at the
I
time.
love that first one so much.
Well, I replayed it like afterwards even, and I was like, man, this the controls and just the graphics and all that stuff were just so dated at that point. Which not that 2 was a
Oh,
huge
absolutely.
leap forward necessarily, but
No, I played 2
It's
since as
better.
well. I played it on the PS3. Again, didn't finish it. I just
Mm-hmm.
can't force myself to finish Resident Evil game anymore. I played on the 2, the Code Veronica. I don't know if you recall that one, which was a
I
lot of fun.
loved that one at the
It
time.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that one. I played that one probably, I think at least 3 times fully through, like when it came out.
Really?
Because I forget why. There's some reward for doing that. Like you got better weapons, or I can't remember.
Did you get the
but-
Jill Valentine bikini outfit?
I don't know if I did or not. This is
I
so
don't know
long
if that.
ago.
Yeah, no. This is the one in one of the Resident Evils. They had the Jill Valentine bikini outfit, but I think in Code Veronica there was simply just a picture of her in a bikini.
You're right. I do remember that. Yeah, I totally got that. I do remember that now.
Oh, the Japanese make interesting games. Interesting games indeed.
That they do.
But when that game came out, it was such a huge improvement graphically over anything I'd seen that I just loved it. I mean, it was really fun to play too because it wasn't so hot. Like a lot of those Resident Evil games are really difficult for at least periods of it.
Well,
Like-
yeah, the biggest problem usually is item management. You're given so few, like the original Resident Evil. That's why it was so great. Like every bullet meant something. Every ink ribbon meant something.
Right.
I mean, it was a grind. It was hard. It was, and they had puzzles that were not obvious, which I loved. I do find puzzles in games recently a bit too obvious, but that's one of the great things about it. Is it was hard. You could not, when you finished it, you accomplished something. I mean, yeah, you accomplished probably 25 to 30 hours of your life figuring out this mansion that really meant nothing, but it was incredibly creepy. It was incredibly fun to explore. That's just to explore the house was so much fun.
Right. I remember one of my favorite experiences, which with the video game, was The Seventh Guest.
Oh yes.
You know, PC
I love
game
The
from
Seventh
way
Guest.
back in the day.
Yes.
And it was this
I haven't even heard of this one.
This was in the full motion video days of video games. Basically, they would hire real actors and shoot them, and then superimpose these actor shots over what were essentially hand drawn or digitally drawn backgrounds, and that's how the game would play out. But this was I guess you'd call it an adventure game, if you will. Basically, there's different rooms you can kind of guide your player into, and you'll see visages of things that had happened in the past. About basically, you're trying to figure out what happened to these different visitors of this. It was just a mansion, I guess, wasn't it?
Right, because there were 7 guests at this gathering of some sort, and you were just kind of alone in there. You didn't really know you'd got this invitation.
Sounds like Clue.
It kind of is.
Yeah,
It's similar
kind of a
kind of thing,
spooky Clue,
but more horror-y, I guess I'd say. You know?
Sounds fun, yeah.
And it's just you go through these rooms, and like Isaiah was saying, you'd see things that happened in the past. And you see the other guests, like eventually you see how some of them die and things like that. But there's puzzles in all the rooms that you have to solve to advance, and they're all totally different.
Yeah, and some are just oblique. They're just you look at it and you're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do
Right,
here.
you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. It's so you have to kind of like mess with it, and eventually you figure it out. But this was like when I played that, we didn't have internet at all, so it's not like you could look it up like, oh, I'm stuck. What do I do?
Oh, that's the biggest difference in
just
gaming
have to do
today
it.
is about the internet. I mean, there is no getting stuck in a game anymore. But the Seventh Guest, absolutely. I remember the coffin puzzle giving me problems for days, and I was so mad because I only had 2 games on my dad's laptop because we weren't allowed to have a computer in the house. And it was Seventh Guest, and the other one was Command and Conquer Red Alert, which was a fun game if you like RTS. It ended up being the death of the RTS to me. I just don't like real-time strategy games at all. Last one I tried to play was the XCOM Enemy Unknown, I believe was the undertitle of that one. And interesting, kind of fun. Just didn't grab me. Played it for 10 hours probably, which is a decent amount of time. But Seventh Guest, I cannot recall the ending of it. I remember finally, at some point, finding the answers to a couple of puzzles online. Because that's how long I'd waited.
Right.
And decided, you know what? One day I just said, hey, I've never beat that game. Should go back and try to beat it. Look up online how to get past the part I'm on and do it. And I still can't remember the ending of it. Everything I can remember about that game is how hard it was and the different puzzles and what the solutions were. But the actual ending, after I looked it up and got it to the ending, don't remember any of that.
Do you remember what it was, Brett?
I remember you go into the attic, and that's where the final puzzle is. I think it's like a dollhouse kind of looking thing. You have to. I don't remember what the puzzle was, to be honest with you, but there's like a dollhouse you have to figure out a puzzle on. I don't remember for sure, but I kind of think it was like you were the one who invited everybody, and like you killed them
Did it
all.
give you a purpose? Oh, just you invited them to kill them?
Like,
Oh, that
I
sounds
remember.
fun.
Like you just kind of forgot about it or something.
No, you
It's
wouldn't enjoy
kinda
it because you never actually get to
cheesy.
kill anyone yourself.
That is
Yeah,
true.
that does sound fun.
Yeah, it was a fun game for the time, absolutely. Seventh Guest, and I'm trying to think what else I was playing in those days because that is the old time days. Like I said, I think I had that game and Red Alert. At that time, I didn't even have a gaming console at home because after the
What year was that?
I want to say that was around 94.
Oh, shit. We had Nintendos and stuff.
It was released in '93.
Okay, so
Oh,
yeah, around
wow.
94 is not bad. So yeah, I played SNES. You know, we had the NES and then the SNES, and we could never afford games, so it became fairly boring pretty quick. Or I bought the games that were role-playing games that were hundreds of hours promised on the box, hundreds of hours of gameplay. You'll be bored within 10. But that's The problem with those old games, so I basically got away from gaming for several years. During those years, I played baseball, mainly played music, and when I got back into gaming, it was because of Resident Evil on the PlayStation. I was over at a friend's house soon after.
God bless you, PlayStation.
Oh, absolutely. I was over and I saw him play 2 games on his PlayStation. The first was Final Fantasy VII, which I was like, oh, looks like a updated Final Fantasy. Kind of looks cool, cartoony, anime-ish, interesting. Not my thing, though. I did eventually play the game. And then he put in Resident Evil Director's Cut, and I was just like, next birthday, I had my my PlayStation along with Resident Evil. And that was the best decision. I've been a PlayStation fan ever since. I love the weirdness they put out. That's their specialty. I love the weird stuff they put on their consoles.
Definitely.
There's not a whole lot of weird stuff on the Xboxes.
I will say on the original PlayStation, you're correct. The Resident Evil really grabbed a lot of people. I mean, gotten back into it because it was kind of become formulaic. I think up to that point, because these companies kind of figured out, well, they just want like side scrollers, platformers, that kind of thing, and that was kind of all there was. And then,
what everyone wanted was 3D, 3-dimensional,
absolutely.
And what absolutely sold that before. Well, not I think about the same time as PlayStation came out was an old game on the Nintendo 64 called GoldenEye, and that was a game changer for consoles as well.
Do you not remember that one?
Because once that hit and was the biggest hit of video games for 5 years at least. Everything on the PlayStation was like, we can do this better on our system, and that's when the FPS started coming out big time. That's when Battlefield started. That's when Call of Duty started. When they were starting with the coming out of a ship in Pearl Harbor days, before it became such a bombastic, over the top Michael Bay production of a video game. It was something kind of interesting, and that's where it all started. Though was there when the PlayStation came out, and then GoldenEye predecessing the first-person shooter and multiplayer shooter on console, because it had only been done in Doom, Unreal Tournament, other PC first-person shooters. Better looking, better running, but consoles plug and play. You can't beat plug and play.
I don't know what Nintendo was thinking with the Nintendo 64, because they stuck with the old cartridge model, which limited.
That was weird, because it was years after like the CD or DVD.
I don't think there were DVDs at that point, but
disc-based storage,
right?
Rather than the 3.5 millimeter, obviously for PC. Then there's just basically the cartridges. But there'd been some people doing some disc-based, like Laserdisc. Dragon's Lair was run off Laserdisc in the arcade. I believe some SNK games run in that fashion. But the home console, there were several attempts at getting disc-based home consoles. That the Sega CD was probably the first, or the Jaguar.
I think the Sega CD was the first one.
Yeah, the Sega CD has that claim to fame where...
Horrible.
Well, they came out at E3, the biggest entertainment expo for gaming industry, and they said, hey, we got this new thing called Sega CD. I know you're wondering when you can get it. You can get it right now. $800 or whatever it was. It was ridiculously priced. Like, go out and buy it now. Like, who? This is mid-90s, early 90s.
Right.
Who has $800 laying around in the mid-90s for a game console? That's just poor marketing.
I will say we had it.
Did you really?
Did you really? Wow.
You play Sewer Shark?
I did. Yes, Sewer Shark came with it, which was fun to a degree, just because it was so cool to see the live video like that.
Yeah.
But it was horrendous to play. It did not respond when you were actually inputting a lot of time.
Wasn't Sewer Shark quite a bit like Dragon's Lair, where it would play and you have to just kind of direction it.
It was, exactly. But it was really boring, too, because all you're doing is going through tunnels, and you have to just remember the sequence. That's all you had to do. There wasn't like you react.
It's rote memorization.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you get tired of that one real quick. There was this other one, though.
Bring up Night Trap. Is it Night
Trap?
Yes. Gary, this is your game.
So cool. It was so cool at the time, because it's just like you're in this home. It's like all these like young people, and these people are breaking in, and you have to stop them from killing you. You have to set up traps, all this kind of stuff.
No explanation why these people are breaking in, trying to harm.
They're vampires.
They are vampires.
Eventually, yeah.
Ooh, vampires. That just turned me off.
But you just that's basically all it is. But it's all live video. It's nothing computer animated or anything like that. It's all video.
Yeah, it's all full motion video, FMV as they used to call it. Now it's just like, please don't ever use that.
Right. But it was awesome at the time because you never.
Yeah, no,
had
it was
seen
the
anything like
craze
that.
in
Yeah.
video games because the technology allowing playback from a disc allowed so much more memory to be used and stored.
I remember the VHS games that came with did you ever see anything like those? It had like a
The-
VHS tape and an actual, board game.
Like
And you
seen
would
it?
pause. No, not like seen it. Like I had like a spooky
I kind of do
one.
remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember how it worked out, but he would be talking, you would have to pause at certain times. I don't know. It was all pretty stupid.
So like mystery games, like
I guess. Like I said, I don't remember. I had one. It was some kind of haunted, spooky game. I was a long time ago. I was like 11.
It was like you'd be playing a board game and there'd be like a host on the screen.
Yeah.
Kind
Okay.
of walking you through it. and-
Yeah, there you go.
so not terribly different from how they have the VHS games now. I guess they DVD now. Kids, if you don't know what VHS is, it's an old compact reel-to-reel that's on magnetic tape. That
Please, nowadays they're
produces
like,
the
what's a
images.
DVD?
Right.
Oh, that's probably true. That is probably true. God, is there any physical media that's still the main physical media?
Blu-ray, I'd say.
I mean,
is
that's
somewhat
definitely-
existent. Some people do buy DVDs still because some people just don't care that much.
I
about
used to
quality
be
level.
a
Yeah.
buyer of movies. Like I had a movie
Yeah.
collection that was
I
unparalleled.
think everyone was for a minute.
And
Yeah.
it just VHS to DVD. I switched over to DVD. Loved it. Loved all the extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the high definition of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the high definition, but the better resolution of the DVD over the VHS was obvious at the time. And then
Right.
DVD. Pardon me. The Blu-ray came out and HD DVD. And you get one of those high def TVs, and you throw in a Blu-ray, you can't watch VHS again. You can't watch a DVD. It looks terrible. I mean, even when my 720p Netflix connection drops to 480, I look at it, I'm like, holy God, that's even better than broadcast used to be. I don't even know how to watch TV as a youth. It obviously was just imagination, like pixel art.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it was just you hadn't seen anything better, so you didn't really have anything to compare it to besides real life, I guess.
Well,
But-
absolutely. I liken it to when I was 5
Yeah.
years old. I was complaining constantly to my parents and pretty much anyone around me that I couldn't understand anything they were saying to me. There was a huge problem. It turns out I couldn't see anything. From the time I was born, I had astigmatism and literally could not see. And to this day, I can't see more than 3 feet in front of my face. It is a blurred mess. 5 years, had no idea this was a problem. Got glasses one day. I was like, "Holy shit! I can't go back to not wearing glasses now." That's what I liken it to. It's the clarity, the understanding of what's actually there on screen. Just seeing. I feel kind of bad for actors and newscasters, especially because they don't get paid enough to take care of that stuff, and you just see everything. But it's the new world. It's kind of fun. It makes it more homey. It's like, hey, our Indianapolis newscasters can't quite afford the same plastic surgery as the New York or LA newscasters.
Well, I think we're about
We're
to
looking at you, Angela Ganote.
Right. I think we're
Get a good note.
I think we're about to hit like a tipping point with the picture quality levels because they have the new 4K
The
ones,
4K, yeah.
which when I've looked at them in stores like next to the older high definition TVs, and there is a little difference that you can see, but it's not like phenomenal. Like, oh, that is way better. I think we're kind of hitting the limits of our perception, really. So I don't think which is kind of a good thing, I think, because I think that we'll just get to a point where we don't feel like we have to keep increasing the resolution and getting a new TV every year.
Well, the resolution is as important. The 4K and the 1080p, those are pan scan numbers. Basically, they're saying how many pixels are on screen at any given time. The more pixels, obviously, the smaller the space that each one takes up, means the more detail you can make out of it. But really, you could have a 4K TV at running at 120 kilohertz, and it not look that great. You need at least 240 kilohertz running on a refresh rate on these TVs. I wish I had 240 on my 1080p downstairs. I don't. It just runs 120. But it does make a difference, and it is noticeable. But it is something at this point that the casual watcher won't care, won't notice.
Right.
It's like noticing the difference between a 30 frames per second video game and a 60 frames per second video game. Those who do notice it can't help but notice it. Those who don't care to look for it, I mean, basically you have to know what you're looking for. And if you ever get to the point where you want to see that, it's hard to even go back that small step between the 4K and just the regular 1080p HD at a 240 kilohertz refresh rate. But I just prefer, like, I like that the PS4 has the 4K optimization coming, where it will be able to play those. I like that most games are running at 60 frames per second. I want it to run the best possible with the equipment I've paid. Let's be honest, it's all this is just entertainment. We're talking about entertainment machines, and the amount of money we spend on them, I feel like spend just a few hundred more, get the best out there at the time. Just like any technology, it won't be the best for more than at tops 5 years, right? But realistically, probably a couple. So, do we spend too much money on technology?
Yes.
Is it technology or is it just entertainment?
All of it, I'm sure.
All of it?
We don't need any of this stuff, but it's our entertainment. It's what we want.
Well, would you include alcohol in entertainment?
Sure.
Well, then I disagree. We do need these things.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm getting a signal here, ladies and gentlemen, that that will be the end of this broadcast to you. From the ether to your ears, this is Playful Secrets. I am Isaiah Huffman, signing off along with Carrie Eller and Brett Skinner. We bid you a nice adieu. Did you want to say something else, Carrie? You look like you want to say something.
I do not.
You say it. You say it and you say it now.
No.
Do it. Do it. Brett, give me a nice sign off.
Everybody have a
No, shut up. Go back in your basement. Carrie? And goodbye.